It's the most misunderstood sound on the planet. To your neighbors, it's a nuisance. To you, it's often a mystery. But to the world of evolutionary biology, the domestic dog's bark is one of the most fascinating glitches in the animal kingdom. Think about this. Wolves, the direct ancestors of your golden retriever or your chihuahua, almost never bark. They howl to find the pack. They growl to warn an enemy. But the bark? In the wild, it's a rare, primitive sound reserved for extreme emergencies. So why does your dog do it when the mailman walks by? Or when a leaf falls? Or when they want a piece of your pizza? Because over 15,000 years, dogs didn't just change their shape. They rewired their entire vocal tract to talk to us. They developed a human-directed acoustic toolkit. Research shows that dogs have actually shifted the pitch and frequency of their barks to mirror the range of human speech and infant cries. They aren't just making noise. They are using a sophisticated, multi-layered code to bridge the gap between two species. Today, we're breaking down 5 distinct bark profiles, the neuroscience behind the frequencies, and exactly what your dog is trying to tell you when they speak. Let's start with the one that drives everyone crazy, the rapid-fire, mid to high-pitched bark in groups of 3 or 4. To a human, this sounds like aggression. You might think your dog is saying, "I'm going to bite that person at the door." But researchers say that's almost never the case. This is what's known as a cohesion signal. In the wild, if a pack member spots something unusual, they don't face it alone. They send out a quick pulse of sound to bring the pack together. Your dog isn't talking to the intruder. They are talking to you. This bark is designed to trigger your brain's amygdala, the part responsible for fear and alertness. It becomes almost impossible for a human to stay relaxed while hearing it. Your dog is essentially activating your nervous system to say, "I need the pack leader to check the perimeter. I'm not safe until you acknowledge this." Dogs evolved alongside humans in environments where cooperation increased survival. Because of this, they became extremely sensitive to human attention and reactions. A bark that successfully grabs your focus becomes a powerful communication tool, reinforced every time you respond. If you shout at your dog to stop, they may interpret it as you barking back. From their perspective, you've joined the alarm, which suggests the threat is even bigger. A better response is to calmly acknowledge the situation. Walk to the window, look outside, and signal that you've noticed it. Once the report is received, the dog's alarm loop often stops. Now compare that with the lonely bark. This one is very different. It's higher pitched, sometimes close to a small yip, followed by a long pause. This sound is called acoustic proximity seeking. Structurally, it is almost identical to the sound a lost puppy makes. When an adult dog uses this bark, they are intentionally making themselves sound smaller and more vulnerable. When a dog is left alone, their brain can produce increased cortisol, the stress hormone. In evolutionary terms, isolation is dangerous for a pack animal. A dog alone historically meant a dog at risk. By using this high-pitched sound, they are sending a kind of sonic signal into the environment. The long pause afterward is important because they are waiting for a response. In a sense, they are asking, "Is anyone out there? Am I still part of the pack?" Dogs that repeatedly use this vocal pattern may also show other behaviors such as pacing, scratching doors, or waiting near windows. These behaviors reinforce the idea that the dog is attempting to reconnect socially rather than simply making random noise. When this happens, it's not simply attention-seeking behavior. It can reflect genuine separation stress. Another interesting category involves sounds that are not exactly barks. Sometimes dogs produce a breathy huff or a low rumble during play. Acoustic studies show that dogs can modify the harmonic structure of their growls during playful interactions. Normally, a growl is low frequency and signals threat. But during play, dogs add a fluctuating tone that signals the sound isn't serious. It's almost like they are placing quotation marks around the growl. They are saying, "I'm pretending to be dangerous, but this is just a game." This playful growl often appears during tug-of-war, chasing games, or roughhousing with other dogs. Experienced dog owners learn to recognize the relaxed body language that accompanies these sounds, such as loose tails, play bows, and exaggerated movements. The huff is different. It's considered a calming signal. Dogs often use it when they are mildly frustrated but not aggressive. It's similar to a human sigh. A dog might huff when waiting for dinner or when something doesn't go their way. It reflects controlled emotion rather than hostility. There are also two common barking patterns connected to requests and warnings. The first is the single, sharp bark directed at a person. This is often a learned behavior. Dogs notice that humans respond strongly to sound. If a dog barks once near the food bowl and food appears, they quickly learn the connection. This is an example of operant conditioning. Over time, the dog learns that a specific bark can trigger a desired outcome. Many owners unintentionally reinforce this behavior. Each time the dog barks and receives food, attention, or access to the outdoors, the association becomes stronger. Eventually, the bark becomes a reliable communication shortcut. The second is the slow, low-frequency bark often used around unfamiliar people. Low frequencies travel farther and create the impression of a larger body size. By lowering the pitch, the dog is essentially trying to sound bigger and more intimidating. This bark acts as a distance-increasing signal. The dog is communicating a warning. Keep your distance. In many cases, this behavior doesn't mean the dog is aggressive. It can actually reflect insecurity. If the dog feels small or uncertain, sounding bigger becomes a defensive strategy. Understanding the difference between an alarm bark and a threat bark is important for managing anxiety and preventing conflicts. So the next time your dog breaks the silence, pause before becoming frustrated. Listen to the pitch and the rhythm. Is it a signal asking for help? A call checking if you're still nearby? Or a learned request for something they want? Dogs may not use language in the human sense, but over thousands of years they have adapted their voices to communicate with us. Their vocal patterns, behavior, and even biology have gradually shifted to make interspecies communication possible. When you begin to recognize these patterns, the relationship changes. You're not just hearing noise anymore. You're interpreting signals. If this helped you understand your dog a little better, consider subscribing. And think about your own dog's most frequent bark. Once you understand the patterns, what do you think they were actually trying to say? And if you're curious about why dogs follow their owners into the bathroom, there's an interesting evolutionary explanation for that too. I'll see you in the next video.